Good evening, Prof and classmates. We are Group 1 and today we'll be exploring the case of Activision Blizzard. And here's the brief overview of our presentation today. What exactly happened at Activision Blizzard? In July 2021, California's Department of Fair Employment and Housing filed a lawsuit against Activision Blizzard alleging serious workplace discriminations of male staffs towards female employees. These include biased standards for promotion towards males, pay disparity between males and females, a male-dominant top management, female contributions being ignored, females facing criticism for being mothers, and retaliation for speaking up to HR. Let us first watch a short skit before we dive into the theories.
Can you all give me a rundown of your individual EDM campaign? It's time to decide who I will promote in our marketing department.
Okay, sure. Over the years, I ran 10 EDM campaigns and that has surpassed last year's value.
Okay, that's average. How about you, Derek?
I ran 4 EDM campaigns and I just hit the benchmark.
Wow! I'm gonna give you the managerial position.
Thank you, Aaron! Our new game is set to launch in October. Does anyone have any ideas on what we should do?
I've done comprehensive market research.
And I think the best way to do is through social media engagement. Success of our games like Call of Duty, we can make use of such channels for advertisement. Okay, sure. I think we should leverage on our existing games to do promotional activities because given the financial situation this year, I think it's best to be cautious on our expenses. Besides, our social media and in-house advertising is actually the market share now.
Wow, that's a brilliant idea, Julian. We'll start working on it now.
I'm thinking about talking to Aaron about the discrimination I faced. I clearly had more EDM's achievement and he didn't even bother listening to me.
Are you sure you want to go to Aaron? He's clearly biased against women. He'll never understand and he'll never try to. Just like how he refused my request to pick up my kids, but he approved Julian's to go for football.
But who else can I report to? He's my direct supervisor.
This might make the issue huge, but if you go to HR, it should be safe because it's in the company's code of conduct.
Maybe you're right.
Hey, Cindy told me that it makes no sense for you to be promoted when she made higher sales compared to you. She also said that you chose Julian's idea when it's exactly the
What? I was chosen by Aaron to be promoted. How's that not fair?
Well, she said that she was being discriminated against and it went against our company's code of conduct towards discrimination.
There's no such instance of discrimination here. Just fire her. She's going against authority.
Okay.
The first ethical concept that can be applied is enablers and disablers of speaking up. For Activision Blizzard, there are 3 prominent disablers. First, the lack of female authority figures seen in Scene 3. In Activision Blizzard, a majority of victims were lower-ranked females and culprits were highly ranked males. Hence, most victims found it hard to seek help, and this hierarchical organizational structure with lack of female authority is therefore a disabler for speaking up. Secondly, a direct disabler is the lack of proper reporting channels. Despite the lack of female authority figures, some still found the courage to speak to Human Resource. However, Human Resource did not keep these complaints confidential as seen in Scene 3. In Activision Blizzard, when employees complained to the Human Resource, they too were often transferred, chosen for layoffs, or had work taken away. This sends a signal that speaking up is ineffective, forming a vicious cycle of victims suffering in silence, culprits getting increasingly daring, and such acts becoming recurrent. This cycle then involuntarily creates a third disabler, which is the absence of a psychologically safe environment, the belief that one can take risks and give ideas without retaliation. In Activision Blizzard, the act of punishing victims directly threatens their feeling of security, and to protect their jobs, they are constantly kept on their toes. And hence, the absence of a psychologically safe environment influences victims to think that they're better off laying low, further discouraging them from speaking up.
The next ethical concept is the misalignment of formal and informal systems. According to Activision Blizzard's Code of Conduct, the company strives to create a safe environment at work and does not tolerate discrimination. Research has found that when employees are familiar with the code and refer to it for guidance, they are less likely to engage in unethical behavior, more likely to seek advice about ethical issues, and more likely to report ethical violations as seen in Scene 3. Next, the presence of a bureaucratic structure resulted in the unquestioning obedience to authority. All executive-level positions were held by white males, with very few females reaching top leadership positions as they were often undervalued. This was seen in Scene 1. In Activision Blizzard, there are norms where female employees were held in lower regard as compared to male employees. Oftentimes, male supervisors would also refuse to converse with female employees and instead require the message to be relayed through a male employee as seen in Scene 2. There were also stories of female employees who spoke up against discriminatory acts but were targeted in retaliation instead. Such stories allow rule violators to easily succeed as they silence the voice of female employees who wish to speak up. This reinforces an unethical culture in the company. Hence, there is a misalignment of formal systems, as well as a misalignment of formal and informal systems, as the formal code of conduct in Activision Blizzard is overridden as employees learn the real rules in the organization through daily behaviors. According to Tembrenser and Messick, a weak sanctioning system results in less cooperation than no sanctioning system at all. This is because the presence of a sanctioning system prompts employees to view the matter with a business frame rather than an ethical frame.
Now, I will be breaking down the discrimination theories applicable in our case study. Our group has identified 4 key biases which hold women back in the workplace, especially in the technology industry. These biases lead to discriminatory acts. First, we have the maternal wall. This occurs when women with children see their commitment questioned or face approval for being too career-focused. Next, we have prove it again. This is evident when some groups have to prove themselves more in the workplace than others do. Moving down, we have tug of war. This is when disadvantaged groups find themselves pitted against one another because of differing strategies for assimilating or refusing to do so. Finally, we have tightrope, whereby a narrower range of behaviors is accepted from some groups than from others. In the case of Activision Blizzard, we will be focusing on the first 2 theories as they are more applicable. The first theory of discrimination is maternal wall. Research has shown that women who are mothers were 79% less likely to be hired, half as likely to be promoted, offered an average of $11,000 less in salary, and held to higher performance and punctuality standards. Another study which looked at mothers who were considered indisputably competent and committed found that those who were dedicated to their job were seen as bad mothers and bad people. Some women also experienced hitting a glass ceiling in their careers, where they felt that their career progression was inhibited. The maternal wall bias leads to discriminatory acts like the one in Scene 4. Other examples of this occurring in Activision Blizzard include telling a female employee that she is not getting promoted because she might get pregnant and like being a mom too much, and kicking lactating employees out of lactation rooms so that the other employees could use the room for a meeting. The second theory of discrimination is prove it again. Women often have to provide more evidence of competence than men do to be seen as equally capable. Female employees were less likely to receive fair compensation, promotions, and job recognition despite having hard evidence that they outperform male colleagues. This can be seen in Scene 1. In addition, research suggested that women in tech often get promoted but don't get the title or salary that typically accompanies the new job, and that women's technical expertise is dismissed the minute they are no longer in technical roles.
The first solution is ethics training with a 2-year follow-up. According to Chrisman and Talalika, ethics training using an active learning approach with discussion of ethical issues through case studies and dilemma discussion will train employees to spot ethical issues and practice how they will act ethically. The paper mentioned in class by Warren, Gasper, and Laufer, ethics training leads to drastic improvement in the willingness to report unethical behavior and is sustained for 2 years. Hence, companies should have a follow-up after 2 years with improved ethical training to ensure improvement and sustainability of the positive behavioral effects.
Our second solution is an improvement to Activision Blizzard's current integrity line. To encourage more employees to speak up, Activision Blizzard operates an anonymous website and telephone line that allows employees to report concerns. According to Ayers and Kaplan, employees perceive reporting via anonymous channels as less likely to result in employment loss, reputation loss, and harassment. However, this one-way system hinders follow-up communications, which undermines the credibility of the claim due to insufficient evidence. According to Neal and Misali, investigators are unable to assess the status, integrity, and motives of the individual alleging wrongdoing with lack of evidence for anonymous systems. This system fails to allow employees to speak up when they perceive the use of anonymous channels to be less effective at reaching a desired outcome. Instead, we propose a two-way computer-mediated communication reporting system, CMC, that protects anonymity while maintaining credibility. Firstly, employees who face discriminatory acts can submit an initial anonymous report. The investigator can then contact the anonymous whistleblower should he or she require additional information as evidence. When the accused is found to be guilty, the investigator should be strict in enforcing punishments to reduce further instances of discrimination. According to a study by Young et al., whistleblowers are perceived as equally credible in the eyes of investigators when communicated through anonymous two-way CMC as compared to identified two-way and one-way communication. The two-way CMC enhances the credibility of the claim and ensures that all concerns can be properly investigated. This encourages employees to speak up
as they would perceive the system to be more effective at reaching a desired outcome. Additionally, the anonymity feature serves as an enabler for employees to speak up, as they no longer have to fear retaliation.
Moving on, according to Abhijit et al., to target the biases on discrimination, we propose for Activision Blizzard to have more women in leadership positions, applying the voice of efficacy. This gives the employees the confidence to formulate and articulate their opinions, ideas, and concerns, without the fear of getting discouraged or having no opportunities to speak up. Firstly, role modeling. We should expose women in Activision Blizzard to behavioral role models who they feel are legitimate, and this aids them in developing self-assurance that they can too do the same as the role model. This can be obtained successfully through the use of more relatable role models, such as immediate leaders, so it's deemed more attainable, that's not too far-fetched compared to higher ups. Also, using visualization tool is key to help these women employees execute this voice in themselves, which is to observe other women as role models and then apply the same tactics used when observing. Second, gender congruence effect. To increase voice self-efficacy in these employees, women will benefit from observing females in leadership positions speak up. This creates an effect that all women can engage in similar behavior and enhance strongly the self-assurance in them. This way, focusing on watching female leaders rather than men and expressing their ideas or concerns will be deemed more translatable to these female employees, to have their own specific style of communication and even help them overcome hurdles they may come across. Besides the two ways mentioned, some additional ways to build voice self-efficacy are through repeated practices, give more encouragement from women for women to speak up to develop that self-confidence, and not suppressing emotions that society pin on them, like being more emotional and less capable of speaking up to authority figures. And there you have it, we have come to the end of our presentation. Thank you!